Look at that pure Harry Potter wizardry. You guys have been asking for this video for a hot little minute. Essentially, anytime I get a new Pat McGrath palette in my collection, you guys are like, so you're gonna do another ranking, right? Which I'm honored that you guys actually enjoy those videos. So I do have previous Pat McGrath palettes rankings videos on my channel. That was such a tongue twister for some reason. So if you're interested in those, or my Pat McGrath Labs playlist, I have a heap of Pat McGrath content on my channel. I will link all of that in the description box down below for you, as well as timestamps and the palettes themselves. This is definitely going to be a long video, you guys. Normally I try and keep myself quite succinct, or I kind of keep my videos as short as possible because I am conscious of that duration time. But today I've just decided to kind of give myself free rein. I am like going as in depth as I want to, so hopefully you enjoy it or get some use out of it and find it interesting in some way. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we do, you know the deal, let's go ahead and do the YouTubey things. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we are gonna go into the desk format. And yeah, let's get into it. What I wanted to do was actually just talk through some generic like Pat McGrath Labs Mothership kind of 101 points that I think that generally might help you guys. And then what I'll do is I will go through and rank each one of the palettes that I own. I don't own every single Pat McGrath Labs eyeshadow palette. I am a collector, especially of the Mothership palettes themselves, but with the quads and the six pens, I kind of just pick and choose between the ones that I truly like, not necessarily being kind of set on having to get every single palette. So let's go through some Pat McGrath Labs 101 kind of information. So especially more specifically about the actual Mothership palettes themselves. The other palettes are a little bit different. They kind of don't follow the same format, whereas like the Mothership palettes generally will follow the same format every time. So this is your Pat McGrath Labs Mothership palette packaging. It usually comes in this standard black packaging, and then it usually has like gold on the back here with some writing like the expiry date, etc. So that's generally how they come. Usually when Pat releases a Mothership palette, she will also release it in like limited edition packaging. So for example, Divine Rose 2 came in like this kind of metallic pink type packaging. I know Midnight Sun has come in like gold packaging before, etc. So you can also sometimes get them in limited edition packaging, but once they go kind of into the permanent line and that's gone, they're generally in this black packaging. These palettes are expensive. They are not cheap. Pat McGrath Labs doesn't pretend to be a drugstore brand or anything like that. She is a high-end luxury brand. That's how she markets herself. It makes sense because she is a high-end fashion like makeup artist. She does a lot of runway shows. She works with Tom Ford, all of the high-end luxury brands. So it makes sense for her to be a high-end luxury makeup brand. I'm not going to tell you in any way, shape or form that I personally think that you should go out and pick up any of these palettes. I'm not going to tell you that they're worth every single cent, etc., because every single person's value of $1 is completely different, and you have to decide that for yourself. Do I love every single one of my Pat McGrath Labs palettes? Yeah, you bet your bottom dollar I do. Would I give any of them up? No, you'll pry them from my cold dead hands. So me personally, yes, I'm happy to pay the money for them, but I'm not going to say that they're worth it or that you should run out and purchase them, etc. I'm just giving you my opinion. Also, that is a very good disclaimer to give here. Listen, this is all just my personal opinion, very preference based. Please don't come for me if it's like different to yours or whatever. We're all entitled to have different opinions, preferences, likes, dislikes, etc. This is just very much mine. If you find that you vibe with me, then maybe you find this helpful. If not, that's okay too. Generally, these palettes go for around 200, so it's usually about 190 to 200 Australian dollars, depending on the exchange rate, or 125 US dollars. So they are pricey, like I said. And then she will regularly have discounts on her website from anywhere between 25 or I should say 20 to 35% off. So I highly recommend signing up to her newsletter or her, I guess her newsletter or her email subscription, because you will regularly get emailed like deals, or if she's having VIP sales, quite often she will only do VIP sales for, like, she'll email you and let you know that she's having the VIP sale, etc. So I really recommend signing up to like her email thing, especially if you're looking for these palettes, but you definitely want them on a discount. She really does do some good discounts. She also has bundle deals on there where you can get like 3 Mothership palettes or 2 Mothership palettes for a discount, and then you can get, like, if she's having a 30% off sale, for example, you can get that off on top of it, which is insane. So they're the sales that I do recommend looking out for if you are thinking of picking any of these palettes up. Each one of the Mothership palettes is an 18-month expiry, and they are all made in Italy. Now this is what the inside of a Pat McGrath Labs Mothership palette looks like. You will notice that mine are extremely dirty and gross and disgusting, and that is because I really do use every single one of my Mothership palettes quite a lot. Like I said, I have a playlist on my channel, I have a lot of tutorials, but also in my everyday life when I'm doing my makeup, 9 times out of 10 I'm using a Pat McGrath Labs palette. To be honest with you, they're expensive and I personally want to get my use out of them, plus they're also my favorite eyeshadow palettes, so why would I not use them? Now in every single Mothership palette you do get the mirror as well, and I will say that the packaging is very heavy and luxe, so it's not something that I would really travel with personally. So if you're someone that travels a lot and is looking for an eyeshadow palette, you might be more suited to maybe her quads or her 6-pans, because the Motherships are, one, quite heavy feeling, they're really that luxe expensive feeling. It's a good quality mirror in here as well, but 2, for me, I'm like, okay, I paid a lot of money for these eyeshadow palettes and I'm not gonna like throw them in my suitcase and risk them getting broken. So that's something to keep in mind, is they're probably not super travel friendly, because even with the weight of them, it would honestly add to your like luggage weight. Each Mothership palette you do get 10 eyeshadows, and you do always get 4 kind of special shades, let's call them. I will break them down in a second, and then the other 6 are usually a mixture between metallic or slash shimmers and matte shades, depending on, obviously the palette will depend on like how many mattes you get versus metallics, etc. But you do always get the 4 special shades here. Now her matte formula, I personally have found over the duration of the Mothership palettes, and also even just special edition like her holiday palettes, etc., even the Bridgerton collection that she just recently brought out, I have found her matte formula to kind of change over time and definitely get better and better as each palette goes on. I would say out of all of Pat McGrath's shadows, her matte formula in the kind of earlier Mothership palettes especially is definitely one of the formulas that I would say she could work on the most. I'm not saying that her matte formula is bad at all, because in my opinion it's not bad, but I do know that a lot of people kind of tend to complain that her mattes get a bit patchy and that they don't like them. So I would say it's definitely the one area that she can improve on. With her metallic slash shimmer formula, again, it can sort of vary sometimes between palettes. I definitely think, again, as you kind of get towards her newer releases, the formula does get better and better. I personally believe that Celestial Odyssey has the best metallic formula that she's released. Like, that is just insane quality in my personal opinion. Whereas some of these older ones, like in Subliminal, for example, while these are still really beautiful, unique shades, they're kind of a little bit more hard pressed in the palette, where you don't get that super soft, buttery, metallic like formula where it's almost like a creamy type formula. Does this mean that this palette is bad in any way? Absolutely not. It's just, again, my personal preference that I like her newer metallic formula versus this one. But these are still really, really, really gorgeous. And the thing is, it depends on the palette as well. So for example, with Subliminal, this is designed to be more of a cool tone, like softer everyday kind of palette, even though it does have this pop of blue. But these kind of metallics here, they're not going for that like wham bam thank you man, almost like a glittery, like full-blown metallic shade. It is going for that more subtle, like cool tone, kind of like smoky eye. So if these were to be like, say, the formula in Celestial Odyssey, I don't think that this palette would work as well, because one of the reasons why these do work so well is like you can use these shades in the crease, just do a one and done shadow, and it looks really subtle and like smoky and sultry. So it just depends on the vibe that she's going for with the palette and like her inspiration for the palette as well. Now when it comes to her special shades, which is really where all of these Mothership palettes just like stand out from the rest, and in my opinion her special shades are where it is at. I love her special shades. I will say though, her metallics have really, I've really like gotten a huge soft spot for her metallics lately. But these special shades, no one can deny where it's at. Now, generally you will get different formulas in these kind of special shades, and it is something to be mindful of when you are looking at a Mothership palette. And the reason for that being is, say for example, you're someone that wants a special shade, but you want it to be really, really opaque, really creamy, really smooth, almost like a cream metallic shadow that's not gonna budge on your eye, then you wanna go for a formula with the palette, sorry, with the formula like the Blitz kind of special shades. So these are kind of like Blitz Astral shades where they are that more baked formula, but you can see that it's really, they are an opaque kind of shadow. So if I was to swatch this, you can see like straight away it's like that wet metallic look. Whereas you do get your kind of VR special shades. Sometimes I don't really know, to be honest, if she has like a naming mechanism to them. Sometimes that she does call like the kind of shifty duochrome special shades like the VR, but then like she calls these Astral as well and these Blitz, but then in Huetopian Dreams she's kind of really gone against that whole thing, so I'm not entirely sure. But she does have these kind of like glittery Astral shades as well where they have these like shifts. So for example, this white one right here, you can see that it looks white in the pan, but when I put it on my finger, it's actually like a blue kind of shifty shade. And then when you actually go to use these shades, you'll notice that they are quite kind of glittery and flaky. So a lot of people do tend to find these shades, like I have seen a lot of people complain and say no, they don't like Pat McGrath palettes because they kind of get glitter everywhere all over their face, or like it kind of falls down their face throughout the day. So it is something to keep in mind. I don't find I get glitter really everywhere all over my face, because like throughout the day especially. I might when I'm applying my eyeshadow and then I can just wipe it off, but like even then, so I have ways that I can work around that, but throughout the day I find that my eyeshadow really just stays put. But I do use different techniques so that I don't have that, because, and it's not a Pat McGrath formula issue, you guys, it is actually just like if you've got a more glittery eyeshadow, then you want it to stay put all day and you don't want it to fall down your face, you need to use a different technique. It doesn't matter what brand it is. If it's glittery and flaky kind of a formula, that's just what's gonna happen, you know what I mean? So that's essentially like the rough anatomy of a Mothership palette. I am by no means like an expert. This is just, a lot of this is just me reading off the website, my own experience with the shadows, etc. Like I could have some of this wrong. It's just like how I have found the best way to kind of describe each one of these shadows. So I'm actually going to go through and do the actual ranking now. I think that's kind of all of the general 101 that I wanted to cover off on. I have 12 Pat McGrath palettes in my collection, so we'll start at 12, go all the way up to 1. I'm going to do each ranking. I'll present the palette, talk about why it's ranked how it is. I'll talk about key things about that palette that I think you would like to know, etc. And then I will also add at the end of it a like video of me live swatching it, kind of, or speed through swatching it kind of thing. If you've seen my previous ones, you know what I'm talking about. And then I will also include some photos of makeup looks that I've done with these palettes. If you have seen both of my ranking videos, you've seen most of these photos before, to be honest with you. But just keep in mind that these photos, they are edited, they go on my Instagram, and so I do put a filter on them, all that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and start at number 12. If you've been around here at all, you know exactly which palette this is. This is the Venus in Fleurs Voyeuristic Vixen Eyeshadow Quad. I hate this quad. I hate this quad. I hate is such a strong word, but I really, really don't enjoy this quad. There's a couple of reasons why I don't enjoy this. I don't like this matte formula at all. This is definitely the worst matte formula in my opinion she's presented out of the ones that I've tried. I don't like it. It's patchy. I just don't like it. I don't like it. This shade's nice. it's, you know, it's nothing special. She always puts these champagne shadows in her palettes. I get why. They are kind of one of those staple kind of shades, so I do understand why she does, but I do kind of wish she would start leaving these out now because we all have them. We don't need any more. We would love to see, you know, her little unique genius mind create other things. The reason why I don't super love this palette is because when we talk about flaky astral shades, as she's kind of progressed, I would say probably actually since this eyeshadow quad and now a few since, she's created this different astral shade formula. I don't know what she kind of specifically calls these formulas. She calls this Rose Fire Nectar and then the bottom one Twilight Bronze. So these don't, again, follow the normal special shade kind of naming, but they're just, this is flaky on a whole other level. Now that shade on its own, like look at it, it's quite pretty, but you can, I don't know if you can see even just in that video, just the flakes that fall everywhere. Now it's a beautiful shade, like look at that. It is a stunning, stunning shade, but even for me on the everyday, this is a little bit too flaky for me. This shadow is beautiful as well, but it's also really, it's just really, really flaky. Back in the day when I used to really dislike this quad a lot too, I used to do my eyeshadow last, so it would really ruin my base makeup. That's another tip that I recommend if you're gonna kind of go full glam with these pat palettes. I would do your eyes first and then do your base makeup afterwards because it's just gonna allow you to clean up any potential fallout that you might have if you have it. This quad just doesn't inspire me a whole lot. Like, yes, these shades are beautiful, but like, there's only so much I can do with that, do you know what I mean? So I just don't, I like a lot of her other shades better. I don't know, I don't get inspired by this quad, you guys. Coming in at number 11 is the Mothership number 3 Subversive. This is also Subversive's artwork that it comes in. So most of the Pat McGrath Labs Mothership palettes, the bigger palettes, come with this beautiful outer packaging where like each one has its own different artwork. It's like its own thing. I keep every single one of mine. I have a place where I keep them and put them on display, etc. I love them. I think it's amazing. Subversive is, all of these are exceptionally beautiful palettes, and I actually really need to preface this video with, I am ranking this, but just because this is number 11 does not mean that it is any less in my mind. I love every single one of my Pat McGrath Labs Mothership palettes, you guys. I can't stress this enough, okay? I love every single one of them, but I will order these in kind of my, like if I had to pick between these to take on a trip away with me or something like that, or I had to keep like one palette or like whatever, that's kind of how I order it in preference. But I love all of these. Not one of these is bad to me, okay? I really need to stress this. And a lot of the time I will film these videos and I say it a few times in the video, but I always get comments that say, okay, but what one do you recommend the absolute most, like for me or whatever it is? You guys, I can't stress this enough. They're all good. They're all good. Just pick the one that speaks to you the most. Like, just period. Just pick the one that you look at and you go, I love that color story the most. That's the one that I recommend picking, really, because they're all good in their own ways. Now, Subversive is number 11 for a, well, mainly just one reason, to be honest with you. I call her the punk rocker of the Mothership palettes, and you really are, if you're going to pick up Subversive, I know so many of you want Subversive. It's been sold out for some time, so I hope it comes back in stock for you soon. But you're really only going to pick up Subversive if you're open to being a little bit more bold, a little bit more dark, a little bit more colorful with your eyeshadow looks. Because if you're not, I don't recommend picking Subversive up. Yes, there are tones in here that you can absolutely get wearable looks with, but there is no reason, like there's just no point in my opinion to pick Subversive up if you're not going to use this pink, if you're not going to use this blue, this gold, that kind of a thing. Because if you're just going to use like these three kind of more wearable tones, like that's just, it's a shame. The reason why this one is ranked a little bit lower for me is because I don't use these 6 shades right here at all. Like, these are so uninspiring to me out of the Mothership palettes. If I could, I would actually split Subversive up into this quad. Like, I would make this a quad of special shades, because these 4 shades are actually some of, especially these 3, are some of the best special shades in her entire Mothership collection. They really are. They're so like unique in their own way and just so pretty on the eyes. Like this gold, I think it's called Gigabyte. Oh, it's like this black based olivey type gold shadow. It is so, so nice and cool. And like this looks blue in the pan, but then it's like purple on. Look at it. And it like shifts. So, so, so amazing. So I love the special shades in this palette, but I never ever use these 6 shades. Like this is just not my kind of a purple. I mean, they're pretty, sure, but like, I just never think to reach for Subversive for these 6 shades. These 3 are kind of more of your glittery type ones. They're not really that glittery, to be completely honest with you. They're more on the opaque side, whereas this one here is more like that Blitz, like proper baked formula where it's quite opaque. So just keep that in mind as well. But yeah, I mean, Subversive is still incredible. It's still beautiful. It's just not something that I'm gonna reach for regularly. Number 10 is a lot of your favorites, Huetopian Dream. So I don't love Huetopian Dream as anywhere near as much as all of you do. This is Huetopian's artwork though, and I do think that Huetopian's artwork is like my favorite out of all of them. It's kind of like a unicorn in your dreams. It's amazing. I love it. Huetopian's actually really growing on me. I have to admit, when I first picked it up, I tried it a few times. I really didn't reach for it. I think it was about 3 months. I didn't even touch it. It really has grown on me in the last couple of months. I really have been reaching for it a lot more. The formula in this one is quite different to her other Mothership palettes in good ways and in not bad ways necessarily, but just different ways. The metallics in here are so good. Like this pink shade right here, this is one of my favorite metallic shades that she's created. Like that pink is gorgeous, perfect for the everyday. But you can just see like by touching these, they're like wet, creamy kind of like formulas. They're just extremely easy to blend out. Such a good quality metallic formula. I will say that the mattes in this particular palette as well are just really, really good quality mattes. They blend out a lot easier on the eye. They're very pigmented. Like it's a great matte formula. These special shades, this is where I'm talking about how she's just slightly changed her special shade formula, and I'll be interested to see what this year's Mothership palette kind of comes out like and what the special shades are. I don't love these special shades as much as I love the special shades in Subliminal, Subversive, Midnight Sun, etc., the Divine Roses. Personal preference, truly, because when you look at them, like honestly, like it's insane. The special shades are beautiful, but they are like kind of next level glittery, if I'm honest with you. And I know I've just spent this whole time telling you to get over yourself because the glitter isn't that bad and you can control the fallout, but these are like even to another level of glitter. Like they're almost like a pressed glitter kind of shadow. So you do need to be a little bit more mindful of that. And when I say it's my least favorite, again, love them. Still my favorite palettes in my collection, hands down, but just I prefer the special shades formula in like Midnight Sun, Bronze Seduction, Subliminal, etc. to this one. This is also a trio chrome, which honestly, I don't mind it. Like the formula itself is really good. It's just not my tone. I just don't like this kind of tone. I'm very rarely gonna wear this kind of a tone, so that's why it's not really my fave. And really that's just the whole thing with Huetopian Dream is I'm really into cool tones at the moment, so this could go up in a ranking or a preference point at some point in time when I go back to preferring more warm tones. Right now I'm in a cool tone phase, and this color story just doesn't make me want to reach for it every day. I don't kind of think to reach for it that often, if I'm honest. Number 9, we have Bronze Seduction. So this is Bronze Seduction's artwork. I'm gonna keep saying like some of my fave. I do love this. I think the red, it reminds me it's just so, I don't know, it's high-end luxe, right? This is just stunning. And then this is the actual palette itself. I've used Bronze Seduction quite a few times on my channel. The funny part about this being ranked as number 9 is that this actually has my all-time favorite special shade, or my all-time favorite shade from Pat McGrath Labs in it. So despite that, it's still number 9 because the rest of the palette has to come along with it. But my actual favorite shade ever from Pat McGrath is this one, VR Fire Nectar. Oh my lord. You guys know, if you've been around here, I just love a green eyeshadow. I just love a green eyeshadow. And this one is just, look at that pure Harry Potter wizardry. Look at it. Oh my god, you guys, I wear this shadow so often. It is everything I want it to be in an eyeshadow. I love it so, so much, truly. That being said, that is my favorite Pat McGrath eyeshadow. The rest of this is lovely. I mean, it's divine. If you're looking for a palette, especially for like Christmas holiday time, like bring it out. This is your gal. This is lovely. I think if you have a deeper skin tone as well, I could see this being like one of your all-time fave palettes from her, because it's really, really like a good everyday solid palette, especially for a deeper skin tone. And the shadows in here are really nice. Like these bronzers are really quite an everyday kind of wearable. But as you can see, it could just be that my palette is getting a little bit old, but like it just, the metallics in here are just not as creamy and buttery as my other ones that I have. Like this one here is getting hard pan, which I can fix. It's not really that big of a deal, but like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't find the quality of the metallics in this Bronze Seduction palette something that I want to reach for quite a lot. In saying that, the mattes in here are so good. I do reach for the mattes in here a hell of a lot. And then these two red shades, I mean, they're amazing. They're incredible. But a bright red eyeshadow is not necessarily something that I'm going to reach for on the everyday. I could absolutely take this away traveling with me as a one and done palette, because really I'd just wear this shadow every day. And like, even these, like they'd look stunning over the lids, etc. But yeah, just with the reds and then these two metallics, it's just not something that's like, I don't reach for it as often. I don't want to deter you, because I think that my palette's just maybe a little bit older, or these formulas have dried out a little bit and I probably just need to like take the hard pan off. So I don't want to like scare you off, because especially these and the mattes, they're so good, but it's just like not a color scheme that I'd reach for every day. Number 8 is a new palette from our Mother Queen Pat McGrath, and that is the Bridgerton collection. Now, I know a lot of people skipped this collection because of the actual color story of this particular palette, and I do kind of get it. It's nothing like, I do need Pat to let the pinks go for a little bit, okay? Pat, we love you. I get it. I'm gonna put this here so the mirror doesn't distract you, sorry. We get it, like you are the queen of pinks and pinks are lovely, but we've had, you know, the last 3 palettes with a lot of pinks in them. Can we let them go for a hot minute? But you guys, this is number 8, and actually I nearly put this higher, but if this was a bigger palette with more shades in it, this would probably even nearly come number 1, if I'm completely honest. The quality of this formula, of this whole palette formula, is insane, you guys. I'm going to need a whole palette of these two right here. This is a new formula from her. These are the satin mattes, and I'm gonna need a whole palette with these satin mattes. They are, I mean, I did a terrible job swatching that, so don't judge the shadow. They are insane. They are insane. I love that formula a hell of a lot. Like, I just need a whole palette of those, because these are exceptional one and done color, like shadows, sorry, the formula of them. If I could have a whole palette in a range of colors, it's just like a whole palette of one and done shades for like work, etc. Perfect. The metallics in here as well, like this is honestly, I'm actually wearing this on my eyes today. One of my favorite colors, and the formula of it that she's done, like it's so good. It is so creamy, so buttery, so pigmented, so insanely gorgeous on the eyes. I don't know what she's done. It's like a foil type metallic, and I am here for it. Even this one, like it's just different. Like it's so nice. Then you've got this obviously spectacular special shade, which is a little bit glittery, but I do have like, I just wiped the shadows off, so my hand's a little bit wet, so you can see that it's gone a little bit more molten metallic. Look at it. Oof. it's just so icy and stunning, and like it's kind of the color of a blue that is still very, very wearable. And then this matte is by far the best matte formula she has come out with. So I'm going to need her to continue to put this matte formula and this satin matte formula in every single one of her palettes from now on, because the quality, oh my goodness, blends itself, this matte. I get that the color story of this is not unique in any way, really, for her especially, but the formula and the quality of this eyeshadow palette is worth it alone, because it is freaking amazing. Number 7 might actually surprise you a little, especially if you've watched my previous rankings. So number 7 is Divine Rose 2. So again, the stunning, stunning artwork. Like, love it. I love these artworks. They're worth something on themselves. So this is Divine Rose 2 right here, and this used to be so much higher up in my rankings, and it really has traveled down the list, and there is reasons for that. Now there are shades in here that just like, I just want to bathe in them. And this is a really good quality palette. Again, these mattes, like I'm so close to hitting pan on this coral shade. I use it quite a lot. And this matte right here, they are, again, because it's one of her newer releases, the matte quality in here is really, really good. The metallics as well, I really love. Actually, I'm wearing this shadow right here, like this one. I'm wearing this on my eyes today as well with the Bridgerton one, but look at them. So creamy, so pigmented, really, really stunning. Even this pink is just like such a hot Barbie type pink. I'm here for it. This is kind of like the last one of her Motherships. I mean, she's only released like Huetopian since then, but like it has that really good like Blitz kind of more opaque formula in it, and then one of the kind of like astral ones, and then this is kind of a trio chrome. The only reason why I don't really reach for this palette, or it's kind of like gone down my list a little bit, is just because of the color story, to be honest with you. I mean, look at that astral shade though. Damn. Like, what? And I don't think I can get the trio chrome to shift for you on camera, I'm sorry. And it's not that it's a bad color story in any way, shape or form, because quite clearly it's not. It's stunning, and I do love a pink shadow. It's again, I'm feeling cool tones at the moment. It's a little bit warm tone. I don't find myself, like, I'm not gonna wear this shade or this shade, like these two right here, a hell of a lot. I'm just not, they're not everyday kind of shades for me. Same with this bubblegum pink, like it's just not a shade that I'm gonna reach for a hell of a lot. And then these kind of purples and the rose golds, etc., like I do reach for them quite a bit, but Divine Rose 1 also has similar colors to it than this, so I'm kind of going to reach for Divine Rose 1 more than Divine Rose 2, if that kind of makes sense. So I feel like if I had to take this away on a holiday with me and it was like the only kind of palette I could use, again, I would love it because it's still one of my all-time favorite palettes, but my looks would be quite similar throughout the whole kind of week, and there's kind of no like neutralizing tones in here really to like just create that kind of a look, apart from this one here if I wanted something that was a little bit more subtle and neutral to it. So that's kind of why it is a little bit lower down in the ranking. Number 6 is a palette that I never ever I swore I jumped up and down, black and blue, wasn't gonna pick this palette up, and you guys kept pestering me. Yes, you guys kept pestering me to pick this palette up. Finally I caved, and oh my lordy, am I glad I caved. I can't imagine not having this palette anymore. I know I'm dramatic. It's obviously Decadence. I mean, it has to be Decadence. I actually really like this one. I like the artwork because I'm all into this like royalty kind of queen type theme. I'm here for that. But I also actually like that this doesn't have the normal, like, see how these are like, you know, your screw types? Whereas I actually like that this isn't like that, because honestly, if I'm being transparent, this like thing gives me the shits. So I love that. This is Decadence itself. Now, I swore up and down that I wasn't gonna pick this palette up because one, I reckoned I didn't like the color story, and two, I was like, it has no special shades in it. Why would I ever pick this up if it has no special shades in it? Because this metallic formula is insane. And also the color story, I think I was just getting really blinded by like this gold and the red and the blue. I'm not gonna wear them a hell of a lot. But when you strip it down and you look at this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, and this shade, they're amazing. And honestly, I wear them nearly like weekly, if not multiple times a week, because these like gunmetal silvers, oh my god, I love them. Like, they're such wearable everyday shades, especially for like my cool tone phase right now that I'm in. And then we all know, well, if you're not new around here, you will know, I am insane for a green. Look at it. Every shade in here, the quality of it is insane. It's such a creamy, pigmented, metallic formula. I really recommend this palette if you are someone that really wants these kind of dual tones. You don't have them in your collection. And maybe the special shades aren't for you, because for some people, maybe the special shades from Pat McGrath aren't for them, but her metallic formula is really, really good quality as well. And maybe you kind of already have like all of the mattes that you need and you just kind of want some accent metallics to complement your collection, then I really recommend this palette. Number 5 in my collection, I am pretty sure this palette, every ranking, gets moved up a spot or two, and with good reason, to be honest. It is Sublime. So if you are not new to these rankings, you know what this packaging reminds me of. It reminds me of True Blood. I am a True Blood fan. I watched the show and I read the books. I really love it. But yeah, this is like, I love this kind of vampire themed packaging. It's for me. So this is Sublime right here. I have used this in so many videos on my channel. You guys always really love when I do a video with this palette. Actually, this green, you guys, this is like anything. I've just never ever used an eyeshadow like this before. Like, got really tongue-tied then, sorry. Like, look at it. How often, and it looks even better on the eyes, I feel like this swatch has not done it justice, but how often do you see a green like this in an eyeshadow palette and it actually is never like what it actually looks like in the pan? I remember I picked up the Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism palette because it had a green in it like this, and then when I would put it on my eye, it had such a black base to it that whenever I would put it on my eye, it basically just looked like a black eyeshadow. So when I actually picked this up, it was like completely for this green shade, and I remember I was really nervous because I was like, I hope this doesn't end up like that Prism palette. And oh my god, just every time I put it on my lids, I am completely blown away by how incredible it is. The other thing, and I feel like the beauty of this palette is so easily missed because your eye goes immediately to here, but the other shades in this palette that complement it, it took me a little hot minute to really appreciate and not come to love them, but just really, really become obsessed with them. Because like the pink in here, now this is one of the more glitterier type special shades, been saying that it's really like on the lower end of the glitter. This one right here though, this goldy coppery one, is more of a glitter type formula as well, but it does blend out to the creamy kind of like opaque type. So you just want to like wet your brush or put some glitter glue down and you'll be fine with the fallout on that one. These two shades are gorgeous, and this isn't normally a gold that I would go for, but because it goes to more of like that coppery tone on the eye, I do reach for it. But this pink, my gosh, it's so stunning and so complementary to so many shadows throughout the Mothership collection. Also, you've got like this beautiful kind of everyday purple color, which is really, really pretty. You've got a really nice, cool, tony, like bronzy color, which again is really, really everyday wearable. And then you also have this incredible pink that took me way too long to try and become obsessed with. Not try to become obsessed with, but to try on my eyes, and then I became obsessed with it. Like, it's the most perfect like salmon type eyeshadow color, like so perfect for the everyday. So if you are someone that wears these kind of tones on the everyday, or you find yourself like drawn to these kind of tones, then this is a really, really good palette for you, because you have those like everyday eyeshadows, and then you also have this like insane, amazing, incredible pop of green for when you want to like really jazz it up in your eye look. You know what I mean? Number 4, a palette that surprisingly seems to make its way down the ranking list. But to be honest with you, from 4 upward, especially like the last 4, they may as well all be number 1, if I'm being completely transparent with you. It hurts to even rank the next 4. Really, like the 5 and under, I can rank. It's fine. I don't feel any ways about it. I mean, I do because they're all my favorite, but I'm fine. But 4 and up, they may as well all be number 1. So just keep that in mind. But number 4 technically is Midnight Sun. So it has the same packaging as Bronze Seduction, fun fact, but actually is just a different color. Midnight Sun was my original. This is the first ever Mothership palette I ever picked up. I feel like this is actually, if you're gonna like comment and ask me which one you should get, I do kind of feel like this is like a really, really good Mothership palette to begin with. It just has everything you could ever want and need in it, especially if you're a warm tone person. Obviously, if you're a cool tone kind of person, then this isn't probably really going to be for you at all. But if you are a warm tone eyeshadow lover, this is the one that I recommend beginning with, particularly because it's really got everything you could ever want and need in it. So you do have transition shades, you have deepening shades, you have darkening shades, you have some exceptional metallics that are everyday wearable, like a khaki green, a bronze, the champagne, and then you've got the exceptional special shades, and they are really, really good ones. So it's got a purple in here, which I know probably looks intimidating, but really it's actually not like an insanely crazy kind of purple color. So I feel like if you're gonna wear purple, that's like an easy one to do. You've got this like glittery kind of coppery shade, which for those of you that have a fall season with like pumpkin spice lattes, like if you're not bathing in this during that season, I really don't know what's wrong with you. You've got the most amazing, like, look at this. Look. Like, shut up. Really? That's insane. Look at it. Oh my gosh, it is glittery. Yeah, you can wet it and it just looks like this really wet, crazy metallic, but you can also tap it over the lid for a little extra sparkle, like however you want to, whatever floats your boat, you've got it. And then you've got my favorite kind of gold. If I'm gonna wear a gold, this is what it's gonna be like, and it's that kind of cool tone kind of gold. And again, it's that opaque formula. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, where you get like you get like one of the proper kind of glittery ones, then you get a more opaque type glittery one, and then you get the two like kind of baked blitz astral type shades. So, and they're just all super wearable. The quality is insane. The mattes in here are really, really beautiful if you ask me. Just overall, this is like the #1 best all-rounder palette from Pat McGrath Labs, in my opinion. Number 3 is the old #1, if you watched the last ranking, and it is Subliminal. Again, another palette that I really wasn't going to pick up at all. Subliminal and Decadence. I was dead set, like, I don't need to complete my collection, I'm not going to get them, and then you guys convinced me to pick them up, and boy am I glad. But anyway, this is Subliminal. It is the first Mothership that she did ever release, and this is the beautiful artwork. I really like this because it's unique to the rest of the collection, so it kind of stands out and it suits the palette, in my opinion. You'll also know that I regularly call Subliminal Sublime in nearly every single video that I use this palette. So if you ever see me holding this palette up and I call it Sublime, let's just all agree that we both know it's Subliminal, okay? Subliminal really changed the game for me. It really turned me onto cool tones. It really made me appreciate cool tones. Obviously, I use this shade a lot. You probably can't tell on camera, but I am that close to hitting pan on this transition shade here. This is obviously just a perfect kind of cool tone transition shade for someone of my skin tone. I just love everything about this palette. I love these two shades here. Now they are more of a subtle metallic formula. I've kind of already touched on this in the video, but I just really appreciate that they are a little bit more subtle because they do make themselves a lot more everyday wearable, but I really appreciate this like gunmetal kind of smoky color and this like purple cool tone, but it's like unique to the rest of the kind of purple cool tones that I have in my collection. I really appreciate them. They bring something to the like unique and different to the collection. Even though they're not special shades, they still bring something special to the palette. This gold, again, if I'm gonna wear a gold, it's going to be a cool tone type gold. That's not swatching well because I didn't dry my hand after wiping that other shadow off, sorry, but you can see how wet and metallic that is. It's just, I do wear that quite regularly as well. It's really, really beautiful. This blue is exactly like the green in Sublime, but blue. This blue though, like, look at those two colors together. Do they not look really amazing? I mean, I don't think you can get better quality than that. This shadow right here though, I wear this so often because it's such a like, it's got a pop of color to it where it's like this shifty like purple type gray silver kind of special shade, but on the everyday you can so get away with like wearing that to work because it's still quite wearable. Quite often I'll put this in the crease, then this, and then this all over the lid, and then this one in the inner corner, and it just looks so pretty and understated. And then this, I've already swatched this, I'm pretty sure, for you guys, but it's just such a cool, unique, like white icy little special shade as well, and it just looks so cool and I love it. And again, all over the lid or tapped all over the top of another shadow, like it just really makes it different and unique. Subliminal for me definitely is probably one of my most used, hands down, Mothership palettes. Why it's number 3 is just because I think I like the next two better, but also probably more so if I had to take this palette away like as my only kind of palette, yes, I could create some amazing looks. Yes, I'd be happy with them, but it doesn't have too much versatility to it. So it is very, very cool toned and it's very, very blue / purple based apart from this like cool tone gold here. So I don't feel like I would get as much versatility out of it as I would the next two palettes, but my Lord, is it good. And if you have this, like even slightly considering purchasing this on your list, just do it. Just do it because it is that good and I love it. So we have 2 left and I actually nearly want to put this one as number 1. But it doesn't have special shades in it. So we're talking Celestial Odyssey. I do recommend if you are considering picking this up, it's limited edition, I'm fairly certain, although she still does have, like she just re-released Celestial, I think it was Divinity from the year before, so I'm not sure how limited edition this is, but if you're thinking about picking it up, you guys just don't even question it, run, don't walk, just go and get it before, just in case she does like discontinue it. I can't recommend this palette enough, truly. I really cannot recommend this palette enough. I think probably the biggest reason that this is so close to the top for me is that it is a bigger palette that has more shades in it. So obviously it has more than the 10. Yes, it doesn't have special shades in it, but the quality of these metallics is so insane. So insane. So there's the fact that it is a bigger palette, the quality of the metallics is exceptional. Even the quality of the mattes formula, in this palette is also very, very good, and it has kind of some diversity. So it has like the browns and then the pinks, depending on which way you want to go with your look. And then it's also the color story. I love the color story of this palette because the shades in here just bring something so different, unique, and amazing, not only to this palette, but to my collection. I don't think there is a shade in here that I don't personally love, truly. I really wear them quite often as well. Actually, I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna say that I don't super love this gold shade, and if I could get rid of that gold shade, I would. But even then, it still brings something different to the palette. And if I was to take this away, my God, I could literally create any look I could possibly ever want. Like, I don't need anything else. Like this green shade, you know I love a green, but this is like, oh, I love wearing this shadow. Like, look at it. I mean, come on. Come on. Seriously, that's insane, Pat. She's just such a genius. Look at it. And then this silver. Oh, I like this silver. Look. It's kind of like a silvery, it's like a gunmetal silver. Like, look at it. I just did a look, it would be up on my channel already, using this particular metallic shade all over my lid for like an everyday kind of wearable look. And I mean, come on. Look at how wet and stunning these shades are. This shade right here is actually a duochrome, and if you put this all over the lid, I don't think it'll shift on camera, but if you put this all over your lid, the level of like stunning that this shade creates when you do that is like, just pop this through the crease, pop a little bit of this through to deepen it, and then pop that all over it like a smoky eye, and oh lordy, trust me, you can thank me later. I just don't know what else to tell you. If you haven't already tried to run to the Pat McGrath website and purchase this palette, I just really don't know what else to tell you. This is hands down the best metallic formula I've ever tried in my life, hands down. So we all know what number one is, right? Like, we all have figured it out. We know which one's missing. Divine Rose 1. I mean, also, come on, artwork, stunning, so pretty. I think we can determine that each of the packaging is impeccable. So this is Divine Rose 1. I actually recently did the eyeshadow palette tag that Ali Glines created, and it was like, what is your number one all-time favorite eyeshadow palette? And I did say this one, and honestly, it's really hard because I don't really have a favorite eyeshadow palette. I'm too like mercurial for eyeshadow to have like one favorite eyeshadow palette, you guys. It's the same reason why I don't super love quads, because I'm really someone that likes a lot of variety, change, versatility, etc. So like, to limit myself to anything, it's just not who I am. But in saying that, if I was like looking at my Pat McGrath Labs Mothership palettes and I was like, okay, you can only take one and one is it, I feel like it has to be this one, because I would still want some special shades because they're just so insanely magical and amazing. I would want it to be cool toned because I'm really a cool toned kind of preferable person. And then this kind of just has all the shades that I would naturally gravitate towards on the everyday, being that you know, you've probably heard me talk before, but I really love these kind of like cool tony, smoky, eggplanty type, well, it's not really an eggplant, is it? But like this like cool tony kind of purples. It really suits my eye shape. It reminds me of the Makeup Geek Lucky Penny kind of shade, if you've ever had that back in the day. It's like a really nice one and done eyeshadow for me. And then in terms of like, if I wanted like a little bit extra special, like this pink is so perfect in every way and is really something that I could absolutely wear to work and feel very confident in, but also wear to like dinner or a night out or something and still feel really special in. Same with this gold. It's a cool tone gold, so obviously one that I'm going to prefer to wear, but is still subtle enough that I could wear it to work, etc., and not feel out of place. And then I have like your duochrome kind of astral shade as well, which really creates that cool kind of shift and inner corner pop. I have Astral Solstice, which is like the amazing glitter shade. This is also in Midnight Sun, and it can create like that extra vavoom for me. So I think it has to be Divine Rose 1 as number one in this ranking, because it really offers everything that I could possibly ever need. It really is a hard choice between the top four, you guys. It really, really is. They each offer something different. And that completes my latest Pat McGrath Labs ranking video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I'm always happy. Like, it takes me a little while to get through my comments just because I work full time as well, but I will always answer every single comment no matter how long it takes me. I promise you I see them all. So if you have questions, let me know. And yeah, if you have any videos that you want to see from these palettes or anything like that, also let me know down below as well. But I hope you enjoyed the video or found it useful or informative in some way, shape or form. If you're watching till this point, you know you are by far like one of the best people ever, because this was a long one and I appreciate you more than anything. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Feel free to give it a share if you found it helpful. It really helps my channel out. I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Bye!